Hey people, what's going on? Cheers! It's the 2nd of June. I took a day off. Cheers, people. Let me do a little bit of dear diary, if you don't mind. First off, here's the magma. It's a little, it fits. I don't mind. I kind of like that it's, tight. Thank you very much again, Gunnar, for the kind gift. Gifts, thank you. You all know I love the band Magma, so I wear this with pride today. Well, if you read my comments, you'll notice yesterday that there was a comment from an Everett where I had to let him know that he had tried to call me, and I didn't realize who it was. It was a foreign number, so I couldn't identify it. So I at first blocked it. Then when he contacted me through YouTube, I unblocked it, and he called. Everett is an old friend of mine going back to high school who is, I've always really, well, he's important to me. Everett was one of the few other black kids that went to the high school I went to, Creighton Prep. It was an all-boys prep school. And when I started going to school there in 1969, out of a student body of over 300 students, there were only 9 blacks. So by necessity, we bonded and we stuck close together for literally for safety's sake. But Everett and I became good friends, and when I moved out from home at 19, I moved in with Everett and his girlfriend, who became his wife. Her name just slips my tongue. We were just talking about her. She passed away, unfortunately, many years ago. But it was a wonderful conversation and a nice surprise. He bought the Muse, and he lives in Ecuador now. If you watch this, Everett, that was a wonderful reconnect with you. As I told you, both of us have gone through some changes in our lives. Have been like this, but I've always basically respected you, even when you were kind of losing your way, or we all go through periods. It was wonderful to talk to Everett yesterday, and just to reinforce the fact that I try to accept all people, but I gravitate towards good people, smart people, people who are self motivated, and who I like intelligent people. And Everett is a smart man. It turns out he is a professor and has been up at UNO for quite a while. I didn't actually know that, and he's still teaching online from Ecuador. Really cool to hear from you, Everett, if you happen to see this. I'm glad you like the Muse, and again, just more. Everett was one of the black kids who I shared music with, and he got into stuff like Soft Machine and Keith Hartley Band, as well as our music, if you want to just call it that, you know, the music of Black America. Obviously, that's a staple for my life and our lives, my immediate community. But he would vibe with me on this other stuff that I listened to. Some of it he didn't like, but that was really cool. Okay, so a couple things musically, and I'll share some records. So RAF, the band that arose out of the hardcore punk scene in the 80s that I'm a part of, I've uploaded another track from the upcoming album. I just got an update. We should have the vinyl by July. This is just ridiculous. Almost a year since we ordered the damn record, and we're still waiting for the actual records. But I put up a new song called No Antidote on the RAF Bandcamp site. I'll leave the link so you can hear another song. And you can buy the track if you like from the upcoming RAF album. Hello family, hello everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay. I got a call from Grapefruit yesterday. They let me know that they'd gotten in a special order for me. So once again, gotta go get it. And it's real good. Stephan Mathieu with David Sylvian. Wandermüde. Those gloves are interesting. It's like, are those gloves that people use that work on nuclear reactors or something? I mean, they almost look like astronaut gloves, but I just wonder. There's a story there. I mean, talk about an image with a story, and the back image could be a front cover as well. These are droning ambient pieces. David Sylvian does not sing. I got the clear vinyl version. Interestingly, I can recognize David Sylvian's parts. It sounds like David Sylvian. You know, his guitar work on here and the way that he mashes samples. He has a style. He has an approach, and I recognize it. This is very, very good. Wandermüde. I think that's how you say it. So while I was there, of course I had to take a look around and only bought one other record because, again, as I've explained, I ain't got no damn money. But this is one that goes back to the 60s and 70s for me. And it was one that I burned a CD copy of, which is down here somewhere. Because when I discovered it, I said, wow, this is really good. Shannon, the fellow who had the big hit with Runaway, early 60s, dabbled with psychedelia and put out this album called The Further Adventures of Charles Westover. I think this came out in 68 or 69. This is very, very good. It's not quite a concept album. Let me see if I can see. Does it say who? It does not say on here who did the arrangements. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was someone like Jack Nietzsche. This is real good. The orchestration on it is imaginative. There are psychedelic flourishes and some stuff where they mess with slowing down the tape speed and other things that back at that time were still kind of groundbreaking. Side 2 of this in particular is really good. Another record from the 60s that is really hard to get that I'd like is Billy Nichols' Would You Believe? Some of y'all know about that album. This is In That League. This is really good. Real good songs, real good orchestration. It's just really good. So I picked those up yesterday. It's New Release Friday, but I am not aware of any new releases that I really want. If I had the money to spare, I would be collecting those Blue Note Tone Poet series. And there's a new one coming out today by McCoy Tyner. I already have the album though. Let me see if I can pull it right quick. What do I have here? No, come on. See, I know I have it. Here it is. Time for Tyner. This is the one that's coming out today on Blue Note Tone Poet. And this is a 80s Dereck Metal Master reissue of it. I got to see McCoy Tyner in concert back in the 70s. It was thrilling. He was just fantastic. And I recorded it, but one of the times that my old house got broken into and I got ripped off, they took a bunch of my cassettes. They took my cassette player and a bunch of cassettes, and that was one of them. That was actually one of the hardest things to lose, was the tapes of stuff I'd recorded that those were the only copies. But I have some other McCoy Tyner right here. La Leyenda de la Hora. He's got a ton of albums out. The Greeting. Super Trios. This was my first McCoy Tyner purchase, as you can see by the ringwear. Song of the New World. This is the first McCoy Tyner album I bought as a kid. Wore it out. McCoy Tyner, Inner Voices. He didn't make bad records. His playing is pretty spiritual. It's always coming from deep within. McCoy Tyner's focal point. Here's another favorite. Fly with the Wind. I dare say that this is making me say, okay, I'm going to play some McCoy, because the next two, this is a Greatest Moments album. But here's the other one that I'm real familiar with. Sahara. This is badass. Who's on this? Yeah, Sonny Fortune with Alphonse Mouzon on drums, Calvin Hill on bass. Sahara. This is the one I'll probably play today. The other records that got pulled while I was getting my Tyner is Tyndall, electronic, German electronic. And then on the other side of Tyner was this, Guernica by, I forget how to say the person's name. This is a strange album. This is part of my YMO collection. I don't really like to listen to this one, though, to be honest. Some psychedelic, like, we've gone through these periods since the original 60s of psychedelic revivals, and this was one. I think this is made in Australia. I don't know if it's an Australian band, but Turn Around. Color Your Mind, Turn Around. And this has been reissued since this. This is an original copy. Yeah, so there's some records for you. I think also the other thing that came up in the conversation was Everett was saying how he was glad to hear how I speak in my videos above and beyond music, how I share my personal concerns. And I told him, well, if you remember, Everett, I've always been like this, kind of nerdy. Some people called me a goody-goody because I wanted to be a good person, and I want to be a good person. I want to live in a nice world. It was nice that Everett reflected that back to me, that he said, you're saying things that need to be said. And I'm happy to say them, and will continue to say them. Something that's on my mind to say. It won't help anything, but I'm back on Twitter, and I do go on to just kind of just see what's going on, and it's so discouraging, the deliberate, immature, vile behavior of politicians, in particular on the Red Party. MTG, don't even want to say the woman's name. They're constantly posting her post with a picture, and it's like it's on purpose, trying to stir the pot. This woman is vile and not helping, and very selfish. Very selfish. The values that she is pushing are divisive and immature. No personal integrity. And every time I go on Twitter, and mostly what I do on there is musical, the first thing in my feed is this political stuff, and it's like, it really seems so deliberate that someone deliberately is keeping things stirred up for our disadvantage, for the disadvantage of the average person. I just see it so clearly. It just is so frustrating, to live in a world like this where things are so bad, when it comes to infrastructure and just the general lay of the, it's much worse than it really needs to be. And the other thing is that I see that there is no activity towards remedies, none on the part of those who really have the resources and the wherewithal to make big things happen. In other words, the big money makers, they're not doing anything about climate change. None of that. It's just going to run the game until we're over a cliff. So that's something I pay attention to, and as I said, it has a lot to do with why I'm really not into the idea of traveling. It's like there's a lot of nice people and things in the world, but I can't really think of anything I really want to see or do at this time, rather than just kind of just be okay and fairly safe. Okay? So, one more pitch on the Muse. Some of you are probably getting tired of hearing about this, but like I said, I don't have a publicist to do the job for me, so I have to tell you directly. That record is good, one of the best things I've ever done. I got a few copies left. You ought to own it. Get one while you can. And of course, talk to me. Let me know what's up. Take care.